Welcome back to what Arty Noobs with General Disturbance. This is a Super Conqueror. It's a British Tier 10 heavy tank and it's located on the south spawn of Prokhorovka under the command of Captain Ashstorm. Well, battle's already started. So let me tell you a bit about this tank before we get into the action. It's based on the original Conqueror, which is also based on the Calibre. And it's got thick spaced armour on it, which means obviously it's able to prevent shells penetrating. Oh, we've got a T-49 up at the centre line. It's got the same 120mm gun, the L1A1, with 400 alpha and 259mm of penetration. The same that you'll find on the Tier 9 tank. Now, it's not quite the same as an American heavy tank. It can actually be penetrated on the hull, and you do have to angle in order to protect yourself, but other than that, it's actually quite good. And oh yes, he got a hit and a high roll at that. Now the gun is fairly accurate, well, very accurate actually, very accurate gun, laser like, which is why the Americans tended to adopt this gun for their own tanks. In fact, actually, the guns the Americans use at the moment are made by Rheinmetall, but they're basically the same sort of gun. Okay, Leopard A1, going up the hill. Yes! And you see, bounced around in return because he's properly angled. And he's moving about just enough to throw off any arty shots that come his way. And of course, he is facing a T92 HMC, which is the Tier 10 American, and our tanks are now starting to move down the hill, so they forced the enemy off the hill, and now we can focus on the enemy tanks down here. We've got a T49 over to the west side, and he is at the ridgeline area. We've got an E50 over there. So I think Captain Ashstorm's probably going to divert his attention now towards the tanks that are actually just to his right. There's an Object 277, 705 and a T10. Oh, and it looks like, yep, it's got an E100 for company, so he's going up to the centre line. But of course he's worried about that T49 shooting at him. 705. Well, he tracked it. Reload time 6.88 seconds. That one didn't go in, and the E100 had to go. And the good thing, the E100 being alongside him, who wasn't alongside him at that moment, is that it does provide cover. And unfortunately, it took a round from a Malshin. It was an APCR round. That time he penetrated the 705. Yeah, he's getting hit from the west side. And he puts a round into the 277. Now he's properly angled to fuse the shots. And it looks like those shells went through the turret as well. That's where they were aimed. And, oh yes, lovely shot there into the T10, who's moved over to the other side. That T10's in danger now because he's getting close to a one shot. Still going to take 2 shots to kill, I think, overall. And he's being bonked from the other side of the battlefield. No, that one he went for the turret, but he's been tracked by the AMX-13. He's having to pull back. You can see how good the armor is, and some of the shots that have been fired at him are heat rounds, and that's a heat round just hit the top of his turret. That's why it's sprayed purple. I colorized my shells on the mods so that you can actually tell which sort of round hit you. And a lovely one there into the lower plate of the T55A, who appears to be on the spawn point. Okay, T10. Good shot. High roll, 423. How many shots is it going to take to kill him? 3 at least. And that was a good one. Oh, was it blocked? No, he blocked a shot from the E50 over on the west side. He's still trying to pen. Going to defend against him. He's just popping up. Here he is. Oh, no. That one just slicing past the left side of his turret. Now the reload time is very critical. I'm on the Tier 9 Conqueror. The reload time is about 9 seconds. On this one, it's a lot less. It's 6.88 seconds. And it's not just that he has a good crew. but it's also the fact that this is a much updated version of the Conqueror. And of course, the Conqueror was designed to take on the Soviet Super Heavies, which were coming out during the 50s. Now, the Super Conqueror itself didn't actually exist. It was actually the Conqueror was existed, but the turret of the Super Conqueror was actually a ranged target. Well, he got the T-49 on the move. Now, there's only 5 enemies left, and they appear to be over on the west side of the map and in the northwest corner. I think the Arty's probably up that end, and he's headed towards where the E50 was last located. We've got a Wizzy 120 in the south. So, in fact, we've got tanks just about covering the one line, and the E100's got very close. We are being spotted, so somebody can see us. And popping up over this ridge line, we're going to expose our lower plate for a second. There's one of them, E50. Oh, look at that. Multiple shots hit him simultaneously. In fact, I suspect there was a fire there from somebody, because I saw small amounts being whittled away amongst all those shots. There's the Centurion. And he very shortly going to get hit. No, we don't know if that one hit. Only 4 enemies remaining. The Arty has to be in the north, so it means only 3 tanks and 1 Arty. Oh, there they are! There they are! And the T-92 is over to the left. He won't last very long. Centurion takes a hit. It's going to take a long time to take the mouse down, because he's still got most of his hit points. But, oh, that only tracked him. Getting closer and closer. Trying for the turret. We are getting penetration on him. Okay, side of the turret. Yes! And potentially we've got the high caliber. Just need to keep up the fire rate. Well, the Malshan is down. The only remaining enemy tank now, I believe. And there he is. It's JMX-30. On the move he gets him. 361. And he's tracked. Won't last the next shot. Yep, gone. And everyone's happy. Ticking affirmative. Game's over. Nicely played. Just look at the amount of damage he did. This is going to be a huge one. Let's have a look at the end of battle stats. It's an ace tanker for Captain Ashstorm in the Super Conqueror. In fact, it's his first ace tanker he managed to get in this tank. Wow, look at that. He got a fire for effect, a shell proof, a spotter badge for spotting at least 1,000 hit points of damage, a bruise medal, and here comes the epic medals. He got the high caliber for dealing the most damage in the battle, a steel wall for blocking the most damage in the battle, and a Confederate medal because he hit more of the enemy than anyone else, at least 6 tanks, subsequently taken out by other teammates. And his win rate for that game, 5,349, which is super unicum and some. So very, very nice indeed. Let's have a look at team scores. Top of the table, 6,308 hit points of damage in that one. The next high score was the E100, who was alongside him for most of the battle with 4,811. And after that, it comes down to the Object 277 on the enemy team with 3,421. When it came to kills, it was actually the E100 who did best. He got 4 kills. The Type 4 Heavy managed to get 3. And then the Wizzy 120 and T10 got 2 apiece, so did the Malshan and the Centurion. Captain Ashstorm only managed to get the 1 kill during that game, but he certainly did a huge amount of damage. And when it came down to base XP, he was top of the table again, 1,355. The next high score was the E100 with 962, and then came the Type 4 Heavy with 890. He fired 27 rounds in that game, got 20 direct hits and 16 penetration. I think it was so hectic that some of his shots did go astray, but I think you can understand that because it was very hectic. He did damage of 6,308 hit points, of which 3,101 hit points were at more than 300 meters. So it was a half and half at short range, half at long range. He received 18 hits from the enemy during the game, only 5 penetrations, 13 non-penetrations, and some of the shots at him were heat ammo, which obviously just didn't penetrate, didn't do the job. He blocked damage of 4,680 hit points in total. He spotted 4 of the enemy, damaged 11 of them, and only got 1 kill. So it was a 10 differential on the difference between damage and kills. And he also did sporting assistance of 5,647 hit points. On a premium count, he earned 109,485 credits. But, and here's the kicker, after repair and ammunition resupply, he did use some premium ammo and consumables. He actually ended up with a small loss, 3,583 credits for that game. But it was worth it for getting those medals and for getting the Ace Tanker, which is the first one he's had. And because it was a tier 10 game, he's got 6 bonds as well for getting the High Caliber, the Steel Wall, and the Confederate. He earned 2,032 XP from that game. And unfortunately, there were no multipliers, so I'm afraid that's all he took away. But it must have been a pleasure for him to finally receive that Ace Tanker for the Super Conqueror. And obviously, it was probably a bit of fun as well, because that gun can actually be super accurate. But when you're being shot at from so many different directions at once, it can be difficult to actually put the shell exactly where you want it, especially when it's a long-range shot. So you can understand why he missed quite a few rounds. It wasn't a lot of rounds, it was only a few. But it must have been a pleasure as well, getting so many good impacts on the enemy and having such a big impact on the game. So if you enjoyed that replay, please give it a like and do subscribe to our channel, and hopefully it'll be your replay that I'll be featuring in the next video.